All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to Zenfolio Live. I'm Robert with Zenfolio Customer Success, and I want to say thank you for joining us today on Zenfolio Live. I'm thinking it's Tuesday. We don't want to go back in time. We want to stay on Thursday because that means tomorrow is Friday. But thank you guys for joining us today on Zenfolio Live, where we're going to be talking about using Zenfolio as a real estate photographer. So we're going to be going through some different things. We're going to be talking about how you can use BookMe to create a service so your real estate agents and people who are booking you for your real estate photography can go right to your site and book you. They don't have to call you and see if you're available on this date. Anything like that, you can actually use BookMe now to do that. We're going to show you a little bit of that. Then I'm going to go into creating very specific digital products for your realtors. So I'm going to show you how to create an MLS use only digital product. Show you how to create a commercial print digital product as well. And then we're going to talk about how you can combine those into a caption. And then, or not a caption, I'm sorry, combine those into a package and then make that available for your realtors. And the last thing we'll talk about is how do you set up a kind of a client portal for your realtors to make it as easy as possible to get back in to their galleries, making it really super simple, not giving them a lot of links that they have to remember. So I'm going to show you how to kind of simplify that process a little bit today, okay? Hanging out with me today, taking care of you guys in chat, I've got Dennis. So make sure you guys show Dennis some love. He does an awesome job hopping in here on Thursdays and taking care of you guys, answering questions. Really appreciate Dennis jumping on here and hanging out. Hey, if this is your first time joining us, make sure you say hi to us in the chat. Let us know where you're from. We've got 410 Aerial Photography and Inspection. Says he's having nice weather. We've got Lynn hanging out with us. Said, what's up, Robert and Dennis and fellow photographers, and Ian Oliver hanging out with us as well. So again, if this is your first time or if this is not your first time, make sure you say hi to us in the chat. Let us know that you're watching. All right, we do have some quick announcements really quick. So they're kind of the same as last week. The Ultimate Photographer Starter Package Sweepstakes is still going on. You guys have probably seen some notifications in your account. If you haven't signed up for that, the link is in the description below. Make sure that you check that out. Now, this week, I had kind of teased previously that I was going to talk about BookMe. That got delayed. We're going to push that back to next week, but there are some new BookMe features or enhancements that we're going to be talking about coming up very soon. So that should be next week. Also, the group training sessions are still going on. So we do group training sessions on BookMe, on basic selling classes, advanced selling classes, and strategies. You can sign up for those in the description below this video as well. If you haven't tried one out, if you haven't joined me on one, we have a lot of fun. You can just ask Lynn about the classes there in the chat. He's been to, I think, all of them now. And so you guys can ask him about how they are. We have a good time. We talk a little bit. We learn a lot about Zenfolio. And then you guys, we are just continuing this challenge of posting something positive daily on your social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, just making sure that you're showing positive images, doing our best to kind of brighten somebody's day. So, and when you're doing that, go ahead and use that hashtag Zenfolio photographers. So use hashtag Zenfolio photographers for a chance to be featured on one of our social media channels. So make sure that you're using that hashtag. All right. Before we jump into this, if you guys have questions, make sure that you get those in the chat. They do not even have to be on the topic that we're talking about today. They don't even have to be about real estate photography. They can be about anything that you want them to be. I cannot tell you the purpose of life as much as I wish that I could. But if you have questions about Zenfolio or things like that, get those in the chat so I can get those answered live. We're going to go ahead and just get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about how you can set up your BookMe service so that your realtors can go to your website, they can book you, and I'm going to kind of go through setting up a couple of different services and talk about some things to think about a little bit. But this way they can go to your website, they can get set up. They don't have to call you, ask for your availability. So it makes it even easier for them and for you, because if you're using BookMe, again, you can link it to your Google Calendar and it keeps your availability updated based on your Google Calendar. I kind of live and die by my, not die, but I kind of live by my Google Calendar. I have to always make sure that it's up to date because I have so many scheduling things that go on it. And it's a super big lifesaver when I'm using other tools that sync to it. So if you're not familiar with BookMe, if you haven't checked it out, if you are like, how do I get this feature? How do I sync up with it? We did a live stream a couple of weeks back all about BookMe, about setting it up, configuring it, and all of that. I think I linked it in the description below. Definitely go check it out. If not, I'm sure Dennis can grab that link and throw it out for you guys in the chat as well. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up that BookMe service because, again, we want it to be as easy as possible for our realtors to book us without having to call us, without us having to flip through our calendar and say, oh yeah, we're free that day. We want them just to go to the website, pay us, and book us right on the website. So we're going to do that. So what we're going to do first is we're just going to hop into BookMe. I've already got it added. And I'm actually going to go in here and create a service really quick. Okay, so we're going to go in here and we're going to go to services, and I'm just going to say create a service right here. All right, and depending on the type of real estate photographer you are, you could offer a lot of different options. You know, some of the things to think about is square footage size of the house that they might be booking you, how many homes that they might be booking you for. Lots of different things that can come into play depending on how you want to structure this and offer these different services. So I'm going to do something really simple. You can definitely modify this and set this up however you need to suit your needs. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to select a shoot type, and we do have a shoot type that is in the real estate category. Now this is really nice because if you do other types of photography, when your realtors go to your BookMe widget, they will see the shoot separated by shoot types first, and they'll be able to go right into the real estate section, and they don't have to kind of sift through all the other options. So that's why the shoot type is really important. Now, service, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, this is we'll say this is a home portfolio home. We'll do home MLS, yeah, capital MLS. Listing shoot up to, let's do up to 2,500 square feet. So that's kind of how I do my real estate photography. I kind of set my pricing based on the square footage of the home. And then we would just come down here and set the pricing. Now, there's lots of different ways that you could do this. You could collect this as a, deposit, right? So, or you could make this the full charge for the entire shoot. That part is on you. How do you want to do it? Do you want this to be just where they give you a deposit for that date, and then after you do the shoot, then they finalize the payment either through BookMe again or through going to the gallery and then actually picking out the photos that they want for download? So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set this up to be kind of a deposit, right? So what I'll do is go in here and I'll say, okay, this shoot is, let's say for this, let's do a $100 deposit. And for that 2,500 square feet, let's say that shoot duration is maybe, I'm going to put an hour on there, though it's probably going to be more like 30 minutes, but I'm going to give myself that hour because I don't want to rush it. And then for pricing down here, you could do two things. You could say collect full payment, which is going to go ahead and have them pay that full $100. Or you could go and just collect partial payment and then say, well, pay $50, and then the day of the shoot or the day after the shoot, you'll get an automatic invoice for them to pay the remainder. For this one, though, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and say collect full payment at the time of booking. Okay. Now, down here at the service availability, you might want to modify this beyond your default availability. So again, if you guys are not familiar with BookMe, I would highly recommend going back and watching the live stream where we really deep dive into the setup and kind of explain a lot of these options. But what we're going to do is we're going to just let this service stay during our available global booking hours. So I'm not going to restrict it to just the weekend. I'm going to let this stay within my global bookable hours. And that is something that you kind of set whenever you first set up BookMe and create all of that. Now for the shoot location, this will determine how far you want to travel. Now, obviously the clients are going to put in the address. So we're going to say client's location within a radius of, and this is up to you, again, how many miles you want to go out. I'm going to say within a 30-mile radius. And then the service description down here, you can put in different information, whatever you want. So maybe I want to say something like 24-hour turnaround. We'll say digital downloads of all photos. And you could create different services, right? You could create one that includes this and video and whatever else that you need to include in here. So there's a lot of options that you can have in here. Okay, you can add more details as well. Now, also you can add a comment field right here if you want. So you can enable this comment field. And the other thing that you can do is you can set this reservation option. Now, I really like this reservation option because what it does is when somebody books this service, it actually blocks your calendar, but it doesn't really charge your client until you approve that booking. So what that gives you the opportunity to do is to look at that booking, see where it's at, see who it's with, and make sure that that's a booking that you want to take. Because if it's somebody that you don't want to take, maybe you've got some people who constantly try to book you and you've just tried to play it off really nicely like you're busy, but maybe you don't really like working with them. So you can turn on this reservation option and then you can cancel that booking and they're not charged. And it just says that you're not available or something like that. So that's an option that you can have here. Okay, so I'm going to save that. All right, and then from there, if we go down to shoot types really quick, we're back in shoot types here. Let me just kind of get this stuff out of the way. Here we go. Here's my real estate. And then from there, I've kind of created a base option. And from here, if I wanted, what I could do is I could duplicate it and say like, okay, this is up to, this is 2,500 to 4,000 square feet and bring the price up, maybe change the duration. In fact, we'll do that really quick. So it'll be even faster. So what I'm going to do first of all is enable this and then we'll duplicate it. We'll click on this little edit. We'll go in here and we'll change this title to say something like, we'll say 2,500 to 4,000 square feet. We'll bring that price up. Again, this is not any kind of pricing suggestion. Obviously, larger houses are going to take you a little bit more time. And then from there, you don't really have to do much. The rest of this is set up. Then you can just drop down to the real estate and make sure that that one is enabled as well. Right? And so now anywhere that your BookMe widget option is showing, your clients will now be able to see that real estate option. So then your communication to the realtors that you're working with, it can be, hey, whenever you want to book me, all you need to do is go to my website. You don't even have to call me. Just go to my website. There's a book a session button at the bottom. You can click on that. It will see you'll see my availability and you can book me right there so that they don't have to call you and do all of that back and forth, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here and hover over website, right click on preview website, open this up in a new tab really quick, and we'll just take a look at this book a session and what it looks like. So here's the book a session button right down here. Your real estate agents can come right to that little book a session button, click on that. They're going to see your shoot types. They're going to see the different options from here, and then they can click and start booking you. They'll see the dates that you have available, and they'll click on all that. Now my calendar is pretty blocked because I don't want somebody coming in and using this, so there's no availability because this is a demo account. But this is how that would look and work to your clients. Okay, so that's how you can set up that BookMe service. And then again, you guys, I used to do a lot of real estate up until COVID, and one of the things that was always the biggest hassle was the phone calls, the back and forth of I might be working somewhere else and another realtor would call me and be like, hey, are you available to do this shoot on this date? And I couldn't check my calendar and all of that stuff. And so they might have called another photographer after that or something if I wasn't able to check or if I was busy or something like that. And so this option right here kind of eliminates all of that because you can just tell all of your realtors, hey, you don't have to call, you don't have to email. All you got to do is go to my website and click that book a session button, and then you'll see my availability. You can book me right there, and you know on the spot if I can do that shoot when you need me to or not. And so it's going to kind of take care of that part of it. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about setting up some specific products for your realtors, right? Because a lot of times the realtors, maybe every once in a while they'll buy prints, but really what they're after is they're after the digital download so they can use them for the MLS listing. Occasionally they might want full resolution downloads so they can take them and have something printed like print brochures and things like that. But that is what we're going to do next is we're going to create an MLS only digital product. So we're going to go up to selling right here really quick. And we're going to click on digital products. And then what we're going to do is just click add product. And I am going to title this MLS use download. Okay. And then I'll put like full gallery at the end because I want them to go ahead and get the full gallery. So I'm making very specific digital products so that when they go into the gallery and they see the images, then they're going to see those products that are geared towards them. And they'll know, okay, this is what I need to use if I'm just buying the photos or if I just want the photos for MLS use only. Okay. And so going down here, we're going to change this license. Now, if this was my personal account, I would be using a custom license that I had already uploaded. But there is a license in here that says unlimited online use, no printing, which I'm going to switch it over to that. But again, I would be using a custom license if this was my account. Now, moving down, we are going to switch the image dimensions because MLS does have some limitations on the file sizes that you can upload. And a lot of times, not every realtor has no idea how to downsize a photo, but some realtors won't know how to do that. And then you'll get emails and calls and they'll say, hey, I just got the files, downloaded them. The photos look great. I'm trying to upload the images and they're too large. It's happened to me quite a bit. And so what I do is I create this specific digital product to resize the images for my realtors. Now, what you might want to do is you might want to talk to them. Some want them different sizes. There's all kinds of different things. You might want to talk to them first to get an idea of what they want exactly for their MLS photos. But what I like to do is I like to use this largest dimension option right here. And I will set that so that on the longest side of the image, it is 1500 pixels. And then what will happen is when they get this file or when they get the zip file, Zenfolio actually downsizes all of the images for me before it's emailed to the client. They maintain the aspect ratio. It doesn't skew the images. It just downsizes them so that on the longest dimension, those images are 1500. Now, your realtor might want something bigger. Your realtor might just want the original files. Definitely talk to them because you can create those options. Next, we're going to go down here and we're going to change this number of items required for the product. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this up here to say maximum number of photos. I would probably set this at about 1,000. I'd probably set it for 500 just to be safe. Usually on a real estate shoot, depending on the size of the house, I really only typically deliver to the clients usually like 100 photos at the very max, because usually they can only use like 30 of them, I think, anyway. But just in case I shoot a large house and there's a lot more photos, I'm going to give them some options to choose from. Then what you can do is set this to be maximum higher, choose the autofill from entire gallery option. And then what's going to happen is that when they choose this option, it's going to take all of the photos in their gallery up to 500, automatically apply it to this product for them. And then they're going to be able to get it downloaded. And then it's also going to resize it for us. Okay, so we're going to scroll down to the bottom and we're going to click save right here. Okay, and so we've created that digital product. Well, another one that I do use occasionally is I'll shoot some nicer houses, and sometimes those realtors will say, hey, is there any way that I can get the full resolution file? I want to use it for some brochures or some commercial print projects or different things like that. And so what I'll do is I'll create a separate digital product for that because that's a different use. It's a different quality of image. So I feel like at least that we should be making a little bit more money as photographers for that use. I know there are several of you guys out there right now who are real estate photographers as well. What do you guys think about that? Do you charge differently if your realtor wants to use the images for a commercial print project or something like that versus just MLS? Let me know in the chat because I'm curious what you guys think about that. But that is what I do. So I'm going to create a commercial print digital product, and I'm going to show you how to do that really quick. So we're just going to say add product, And then we're going to go in here and I will say full res download, because they all know what that means, full resolution. I would change my license. And again, if this was my account, I would be using a custom license option that I already uploaded. But for the Zenfolio default ones, you could use this royalty-free commercial use license right here if you wanted to. And then for the image dimensions, I'm not going to switch these over to high res. I'm just going to leave this on original photo. And also maybe I'll add up here full gallery as well. Or maybe you could make it per single image. It just really depends on your flow. So you could say, you know what, maybe they don't want to buy all of the images as full res. Maybe they just need to buy a few of them. You could make this a single image as well, but I am just going to make this one a full gallery. Then we're going to go down here, again, kind of the same setup. Set this up to be 500, autofill from the entire gallery, and then just save. So basically what we've done is we have created these two different options, okay? And we still need to put those on a price list, and we're going to do that in a second. But the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to kind of put a package together, right? So maybe they want all of it together. Maybe there's a really nice house that you shot really high end, and they just want to go ahead and get a package deal where it's all together and maybe get a little bit of a discount, right? So what we're going to do next is we're going to kind of put those options together, give them a discount, and just kind of create a package option. So we're going to go to selling up here. We're going to click on, just click right on the word selling. We're going to click on packages. And then I'm just going to add a new package really quick and just call this MLS and print downloads. And yeah, MLS, let me fix it. MLS use and print use downloads. Something like that. I would probably have a better title, but that kind of makes sense. Next thing we're going to do is make sure that this is a multi-image package. We're going to click Add Products. We're going to click up here, go down to our studio name, grab both of these digital downloads, and then we would set a package deal. So let's say that for the MLS use download, maybe I charge them like $20. For the full gallery download, maybe I'm charging like $100 or something like that. So maybe I want to give them a deal on this and just say, okay, you pay $75 and you can get both. Again, this really depends on your workflow. Lots of realtors will have different workflows with you. You might establish different workflows. So it's totally up to you. This is just kind of one of the flows that I use. And so now that we've got that done, what we're going to do is bring these all together on a price list really quick. So I'm just going to click selling, go to price list, click on add a blank price list, call this real estate 2020. We'll add our products in here really quick. We'll add the package, and then we'll go back and we'll add in our downloads in here. And then make sure that these are also added to our quick shop. And then the final thing that I would like to do is go up here and change my order approval options, because I want to make sure that I don't have to approve the orders, right? They're digital files. I've already done the editing. I just want them to go through automatically. So I'm going to turn my digital downloads only option on here so that when they place the order, if it's for any of those digital products, it'll automatically go through automatically. Now, the reason I didn't set this to all orders is because if I wanted to add some print options, I might want to look at those prints before they go to the lab just to make sure that everything looks good. So that's why I'm going to set it up like that. We're going to hit save. And then we're just going to save this price list really quickly down here at the bottom, and then go to kind of the last step that I want to show you guys, which is kind of creating that client portal or something like that is what I like to call it. So I have the real estate price list saved. We're going to go to photos. The last thing that we're going to do is kind of set up a client portal, right? And that's what I call it. Really, this is just a group, and then a group for your realtors, and then inside of that group, having a group for maybe each agent that you work with, or maybe each firm that you work with, depending, or agency that you work with, depending on your flow. But the idea behind this is to make sure that it's as easy as possible for them to get to their galleries. In other words, I don't want to have to email them a new gallery link every time I upload photos. I just want them to have a link that they have saved, that they know by heart, that's super easy. And so this is how I set that up. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go into my clients folder here. Let me just zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit larger. We're going to go into my clients folder over here. And I'm going to go into 2020. And then I would just kind of create a new group in here and call this real estate. Okay. After I create that group, I would go to this group down here and then go ahead and apply that price list. That way, from that point on, anything new that I upload into that group is going to automatically get that price list applied to it, and I don't have to worry about going back and making sure that I've done that. Now, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click in here, and then let's say that I have a couple of realtors that I work with, and I want to make this really easy. So I would actually create a group for each one. So let's just say this is Realtor 1, Realtor Bob, whatever you want to put in there. That's their name. And then let's go here and let's do another group for Realtor 2. Okay. Now, after I have that set up, maybe I want to put a password on there. Maybe I don't. Let's say that I don't really need one. The realtor's like, oh, we don't need a password. Sometimes I'll share this with other agencies or other agents. So I'm going to click on their group, go up to access, go ahead and just set that group to public. Go to the search settings, make sure that it's not included in any search results, and save it. And then the other thing that I'm going to do on that group to make this super easy is go back to access. I should have done it. And then we're going to go to this sharing setting right here. And what I'm going to do is turn on the friendly URL, and then I'm just going to put in that realtor's name. So let's say it's Bob Ross. All right. And so once you save that, from that point forward, Mr. Bob Ross can find all of his galleries of houses that I photographed for him by just going to whatever my website domain is. So if it's like ishoothouses.com, all he would have to do is go to ishoothouses.com/Bob Ross. That would take him in there directly to that group, and then I would have separate galleries of all the homes that I've photographed for him in there, so that he doesn't have to wait for me to email him a link. Maybe he needs photos from a previous shoot for something. He doesn't have to ask me for that link. All he has to do is enter that address, and then he would go and see exactly all of his galleries that are in there. So I would set this up and I would save it. And then I would just begin, after I do a shoot, upload them in there. And the nice thing about that is that I can come back, do my editing, upload his new gallery in there. And usually what I'll do is name it by the address. So I would say like, okay, this is 111 Church Street, or however you do it. But that's usually what I'll typically do, is name it by the address. So you can do the editing, get the photos uploaded into the gallery. While they're uploading, and I'm done with that part, I just walk away, go do something else, let them upload. And then in about 45 minutes or so, I will just text Bob and I'll be like, hey man, your gallery is good to go. And just in case you forgot, here's your link, because I can just give him that iShootHomes or iShootHouses.com/Bob Ross. And then that would take him directly to that place where he could see all of his different galleries, and then just click on the newest one to go in and get those photos. And then it would also already automatically have that real estate price list applied to it. All right. So that is it for today, you guys. I'm going to take a quick break, get some tea. I know there's a lot of you guys talking there in the chat. If you have questions, definitely make sure that you get those into the chat for us. We have a lot of time to get questions answered. And then I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. All right, so guys, we have like 29 minutes left. That's a lot of time to answer questions. If you have questions about Zenfolio, about real estate photography, about other types of photography, about other things on Zenfolio, throw those in the chat. Not that I'm an expert in photography. I've been a photographer for 10 years, but I know that there are a lot of you guys in chat who have a lot of photography wisdom, and I can see you guys answering questions already for each other. So love the community that's going on there. Definitely you guys keep asking questions. We're going to go ahead and grab a question from you guys in chat really quick. This is from Lynn. He says, what do real estate agents look for in hiring a photographer? Well, that's a great question, Lynn. And it's kind of a hard question to answer. Hold on one second, guys. My software just tried to shut down. I had to make sure I stopped that quickly. So what do real estate agents look for hiring in a photographer? That's a great question. It's not a question that I can answer in a few words, because obviously every real estate agent is different. What I would say is that, and it also depends on the typical type of houses that they do, right? Sometimes you have people who image quality is not their top concern. They do want decent photos, but they just want it fast, right? They want you to show up, shoot that house in like 30 minutes, and then they want to have the photos. I don't know why my computer is trying to shut down on me. That's scary. Anyway, so like I said, some realtors, the top thing that they're not looking for is not image quality. They just want you to get in there and shoot the house fast. And turnaround time is really big too. So they usually will want the photos in a few hours, if not like 24 hours is usually kind of what they look for. There's other realtors who like really care about the image quality. They really want top quality images. They want to make sure that you are not messing up the verticals, that your white balance is on point, that you're not getting any reflections. Maybe you have like a circular polarizer on your lens. They want to make sure that you're able to shoot wide spaces. Maybe they also want to make sure that you can provide overhead shots with like a drone or a pole cam or something like that. So there's realtors that look for stuff like that. One of the things that I would say is I've almost seen consistently with all of the realtors that I've worked with is turnaround time is a very big deal for them. Turnaround time is a very big deal. Usually it's 24 hours or less is what they want. That is one of the big things that I've seen with realtors that I've worked with. Also too, right, it's how accommodating are you? And that's not just with realtors, it's really with anybody. As a photographer, how accommodating are you? How good are you at making those people not just like you for the quality of work, but enjoy the experience of working with you? Are you able to make them feel comfortable enough to where they're not even showing up at the houses anymore? They're just saying, okay, here's the lockbox code. Just text me when you got the photos ready. That takes building rapport. And if you don't have those kind of people skills where you can make somebody feel really comfortable, trust you, love your work, know that you have integrity and that you're not going to go into this house and leave a bunch of lights on when you leave, or leave the doors unlocked, or wear your muddy shoes in the house and scuff up the floor. It's all about building that rapport. That's another big thing, is just I don't know what the word is for it, but basically how well you are, how professional you are as far as working with you. That's another big thing that I've seen. I've talked to a lot of realtors who had photographers who left all the lights on in the houses and tracked mud in the floors and damaged the home. You know, they were carrying their gear and not careful, and they swung around and knocked a hole in the wall with a tripod leg or something like that. So these are all things to think about, right? As photographers, it's not just about the quality of our work. Yes, that's important, but it's also about how we make the client feel and how the client looks when they use us and we're around other people. Because a lot of times I'll show up to houses and do shoots, and the realtor's there and maybe the homeowner's there, or if it's a new build, maybe the builder's there and the interior designer's there. And if I'm showing up and I'm just, you know, I didn't do anything to try to look halfway decent, and you know, I'm really gruff and unpleasant, that reflects on that realtor because they are the ones who hired you. And so they definitely don't want you to go in and make them look bad either. So there is a lot of things to think about, more than just image quality. Image quality is a thing, but your professionalism, are you on time? Do you do whatever it takes to make sure that you're there when you say you're going to be there? I try to be places 5 to 10 minutes early. That's a leftover habit from the Army, but it's something that's been ingrained in me, is that if I'm not somewhere 5 minutes before I said I was, or before I said I would be, then I'm late. That's a big thing too. Just the professionalism, again, is huge. Okay, great question. Next question. Looks like it's from Lynn. He says, what kind of turnaround time on post and image delivery? So again, a big part of that is a lot of them want 24-hour or less. When I first started shooting real estate, that was something that was really hard for me to get into. So I would definitely say you got to practice getting things right in camera, because the last thing that you want to do is go shoot a house that you have to spend hours and hours and hours and hours in post. So you want to make sure that you are doing the best that you can do to capture the best image in camera. Sometimes you got to do some HDNR, sometimes not HDNR, some HDR. Sometimes you have to do some bracketing shots, different things like that. So I would say really experiment, get really good at capturing good images in camera. Get really good with lighting. A lot of times you can go in and bounce light things, but sometimes depending on the houses, depending on the colors around you, the glass, the windows, the room that you're in, bounce lighting is not going to get it, and you have to figure other things out. The other thing as well is knowing what time is good to shoot a house, and not just any house, right? Sometimes the morning time might be good to shoot a house, but it depends on the direction that it's facing. Sometimes the evening might be better. So knowing good times to shoot houses as well is really important. Let's see. Great question. Next question here. Let's see. Next question from Lynn. And you guys get those questions in the chat. We've still got like 22 minutes. Lynn says, how do you approach an agent to get started on real estate photography? So that's a great question. There's lots of different ways that you can handle that. What I would, when I first got started, so when I very first got started, I had no real estate clients at all, and I had just been practicing shooting my house, going to different friends' house and photographing their houses, and just really experimenting, learning it, studying a lot on YouTube. What I did was I went online and I just found a bunch of local realtors and started emailing them and just sent them some images that I had taken and said, hey, I'm brand new in the area as a photographer. I'm looking to get into, or I'm a real estate photographer. I'm brand new in the area. I'm looking to build my client base. And what I'd love to do is come photograph a house for you at half of my normal cost, right? And they don't know what your normal cost is. Your normal cost can be whatever you tell them, but you're just trying to use something to get them in the door, to get yourself in the door, to maybe convince them to try you over somebody else that maybe they've been working with. Maybe they were unhappy, or maybe you just approach them as, hey, I'm a new realtor or real estate photographer in the area. I'm not sure if you have a photographer that you work with consistently, but I am looking for new clients. And so, I'm willing to do like a shoot for you for half of my normal cost if you want to just try it out and see if we work good together. There are going to be people that you don't want to work with. Keep that in mind as well. Not everybody is going to be your client. I had some realtors that I worked with that I just had to make myself unavailable to because they were really, really difficult to work with and really unprofessional. And it happens. And you have to also think about how are you going to handle those situations when they come up. Those are things you want to think about as well. Okay, next question. From 410 Aerial Photography and Inspection says, what option is better to keep galleries accessible but not visible? Hide or private? So it really depends on what you're trying to do. So if you want to keep the galleries to where somebody could access them if you send them a direct link, then you can just set that gallery to hide. And what I mean is clicking on that gallery, going up here. Sorry, not there. Let me find a gallery that actually has some stuff in it we can look at. So if I click on this gallery up here, and my computer is just continuously trying to shut down. It's really mad about something. I can go up here and I can hide the cover photo. I can hide the gallery. And what that's going to do is that's basically going to hide the thumbnail, but if I send somebody the direct link to that gallery, they can still access it. So if that's what you're looking for, that's the route you're going to want to take. If you just want to keep the gallery online but not let anybody else but you access it, then by far the best option is just to set it to private. That means the gallery's still there, it's still available on your account to you, but nobody else can access that. And that's how I would do it, is set it to private if that's what you're looking for. Great question, though. All right, next question. This is from 410 Aerial Photography and Inspection. Again, what is the standard video quality required? I would say for real estate, I mean, right now you're probably going to want to be, I mean, more and more people are asking for 4K. Right now you're probably going to want to be at least at 1080. At least at 1080. But again, more and more people are asking for 4K. It's getting more accepted and more used on various platforms on the internet and all that stuff. But right now, 1080 should be suffice for now. But sooner or later, you're going to want to get to 4K for sure. Okay, great questions though, you guys. Let's see. Next question here. Let me grab it. Man, I don't know why my computer is trying to shut down. Like every time I do something, it says, do you really want to shut your computer down? It's driving me crazy. From David Basher says, do you offer virtual staging and what programs or techniques can you recommend? So I have never gone into offering virtual staging. It's something that I've looked at. It's something that I do know. I have a lot of friends who do that, who set up and use virtual staging. To be honest, I've never really been interested in going down that route. And really quickly, the reason that I say that is because the people that I try to work with as much as possible is not actual real estate agents. Usually I will try to get into new builders, where it's not a realtor that's hiring me. It's actually their, either their, I forget what they call them, but like their home managers or their staging coordinators or their interior designers. And so a big part of my business when I was doing that was working on places where they already had it staged. It was like that model home that they set up in this new neighborhood. And I would go work with the interior designer, and she would already have it set up and staged, and we would just go in and photograph it. Those are the types of jobs that really I went after more than doing just standard real estate. Standard real estate, working with realtors on empty homes or houses that people are living in and going to sell. Those were kind of a side thing that I did use to just kind of fill up my time, but I never really wanted to pursue it so much as to enter that virtual staging kind of thing. I'm sure there are some of you guys there in the chat who have definitely done that before. I'm sure that some of you guys out there in the chat have some recommendations for virtual staging. It's just something that I've never got into. Maybe I can talk to some of my friends. We can do another live stream and maybe talk about some of these questions like virtual staging, talk about pricing, different things like that they can help you answer and combine their answers with mine. But that's a good question. Okay, let's see. Next question from Lynn is, how do you establish pricing? That's a great question. That is one of those things that's going to vary from location to location. What I did was when I first started out, I would just do a flat fee. And then I learned really, really quickly that some homes are going to take longer. Some homes don't take as long. And so after doing that for a while, what I really started to do was try to figure out pricing by the square footage of the home. It's not an exact science, right? You are always going to run into exceptions, and that's just going to be the deal, right? You could definitely shoot one particular 2,000 or 3,000 square foot home at maybe 30 minutes, and then you might go to another one that's the exact same size or smaller, and just due to circumstances, it might take you an hour or 2 hours. What I found worked best for me was pricing by the square footage. And I would have a minimum. And then also other things that I would consider in my pricing as well is how many houses is that realtor having you shoot that day? Obviously, if they had me shooting multiple homes that were in a certain mile radius, I would give them a discount. I wouldn't charge them full price for every home. I would charge them full price for the first one and then give them a discount on each additional house that they had for me that day. If it was a situation where it's like, hey, we have one for you here, and then 60 miles away over here, we have another one for you, and we need them shot both in the same day, I'm definitely going to be charging a travel fee because you have me going here, and then you have me traveling 50 miles here, and then I might have to travel another 50 to 60 miles back home. And I'm just throwing these numbers out there. So those are all kinds of things that you need to take into consideration is, how many homes are they giving you to work with that day? Because that might affect your pricing. If it's just one house, you're probably going to want to just charge full price. If they're like, hey, I've got 20 houses for you, or that's never happened, but I have had somebody call me and they're like, hey, I've got 15. They're in 2 separate lots. They're like 5 miles away from each other. It's like a 2 or 3 minute drive between because it's in a really undeveloped area right now. So it's a really quick drive. I give them a big discount because that was really easy because I just went in one neighborhood, parked my car, shot all the homes, walked down the driveway, got back in my car, went to the other neighborhood. And so those are kinds of things that you want to take into consideration when you're with your prices. And so again, there's always exceptions, always different things that are going to come up, and lots of different things. If you do it right, if you work with a realtor, if it's somebody who can keep you business going in, then a lot of times, you want to keep that relationship and you always want to make them feel like you are going the extra mile and doing what you can for them and just helping them out. And so, whenever it makes sense for you to keep that business coming, you can do different things like give them discounts and all that kind of stuff. But that's what I do with my pricing. Again, it worked best for me by square footage. Some people charge it differently. Some people charge by, just how many houses, or they just charge a flat fee. So it takes a little bit of playing around and experimenting to see what really worked. Talk to your agents as well. That's what I did. I talked to several of them. I'm like, hey, look, I'm taking on new clients. I'm really trying to figure out my pricing and get this really set to something that's fair to everybody. Here are the different ways that I'm looking at, and have this conversation with realtors or people that you've established a relationship with that you get along with and that are not just looking to undercut you. Specifically, maybe people who are not directly hiring you, but they're working for a builder who the builder is the one paying the bill, and they just like working with you. Have this conversation with those types of people and say, hey, look, this is what I'm thinking. These are the 3 different routes that I've got that I'm kind of thinking about. Which one to you seems more fair? And most of them will be more than happy to have that conversation with you and talk to you about it. Great question. All right, next question. This is from David Basher. He says, can you explain the difference between event, collection, and gallery? That's a great question. So really quickly, just in a nutshell to really explain without giving a lot of detail. And actually, you know what? I think I might still have this set up. Cool, I do. Okay, so just to show you this down here, I have a group right here. Okay, this is a group. That's the one thing that you didn't ask about, David, was a group. So this is a group. And basically what a group is just like a folder on your computer. It's used for organizational purposes, but there's one small difference. You can't actually put photos into a group in there. So a group is just used for organizational purposes. So inside of a group, you can have other groups, you can have galleries, and you can have collections. And so a group is just used for organizational purposes. When it gets to where you want to upload content like photos and videos, that is what a gallery is for. So if I click on this gallery, it will show you right here. Hey, Darren, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. It was good to have you back hanging out with us. Hope to catch you again soon on another live stream. Take care, my friend. So if I click on this gallery, galleries can actually contain photos and videos. They just can't have other galleries, other collections, different things like that. And then collections, what collections contain are basically, for lack of a better word, they contain desktop shortcuts to images that exist in other galleries. So I really don't recommend using collections because they can cause a mess. Because if you're adding images to a collection from galleries that have different access control settings, different price lists, all of a sudden you've ended up with a collection that has hundreds of photos that have different settings and you cannot change them in the collection. You have to go back out to their originating galleries. Now, the last thing that you mentioned was an event. And what an event is it's basically a searchable container. So I don't really have time to explain in full detail, but this is an event. And basically what the event does is it creates for the best way to describe it really is a searchable container. So this event has a page that you can actually go to depending on how it's set up, and you can enter a keyword or a specific password, and it will take you to the images that have that password keyworded into it, or that particular keyword keyworded into the photos. That's what an event is. Now, I did do a live stream that talked about organization, really went in depth on all these different things. If I could get Dennis to throw that out, it was a couple of weeks back. That live stream will really go in depth and kind of explain all that. But hopefully, David, that kind of shed some light on it. If I need to clarify some things, let me know in the chat. I'll be more than happy to clarify. Great question, though. All right, let's see. Let me grab a few more questions here. We got like 8 minutes left, you guys. Plenty of time to answer some more questions. So let's see. Next question I have here is, can I create coupons in bulk and hand them out on shoot day? Well, depending on the account level that you have, we do have a feature in Zenfolio. If you have an advanced plan, we have a feature that is called coupon campaigns. And so if you're shooting an event and maybe you want to give everybody who attended the event some kind of 10% discount or something like that, you can create those coupons in bulk. You just go up to selling right here, go to coupons and campaigns, and then in here, you're going to click add a new coupon. Now, again, in order to do this, you do need to have the advanced plan. So that is one thing that is required, is having the advanced plan. But when you have that, you can come down here and say, okay, I want to create bulk coupons. And let's say you know that there's going to be at least 500 people at the event. So you're going to say 500. And let's just say that this is senior prom. And maybe you want to do something like senior prom 2020 as the coupon code. But you don't want to do these in sequence. You want to do these randomly so that each coupon actually is generating a random string. And then you would just go down here and however you want to do this. So if you want to do this like a percentage-based coupon, you could say, okay, anybody who was at the event, I'm going to give them a 20% discount coupon. They can use it for everything that they want, and they can use it in, let's just pretend like this is a senior gallery. Okay, now we are going to set it to have a one-time use, which means each coupon gets one use per coupon. Then you click save, you can say yes, generate new codes, and then what's going to happen is Zenfolio is going to generate 500 random coupons that start with that senior prom. And then from that point, what you need to do is just export the coupons. It's going to save them as a CSV file. So I'm going to save that. And then you can just pull that up in Google Sheets, format it however you want. Maybe you want to print each coupon on some kind of card, something like that. You can do that. But just to show you here, I got a file and import. My computer is getting mad at me. My computer is doing really weird things today, you guys. Let's go to here. And here are those coupons. I'm just going to import those really quick. And you now have 500 randomly generated coupons here. Okay. So they're all random. You can see them right here. From that point, it's on you how you want to distribute those. Maybe you want to print out a bunch of cards that say Senior Prom 2020. And then when they come up, you just want to write that last random sequence on there and hand it to them and tell them that's your coupon code. However you want to do it, but here is what that generates. So great question. Really good question. Let's see. Next question. We got like 4 minutes left. Let me catch up with some you guys got going on in chat really quick. I don't think I have a question that I can answer quite in 4 minutes. Plus, I want to say hi to some of you guys. I haven't gone back and checked in the chat. So we got Home Phone hanging out with us. 410 Aerial Photography and Inspection. Hey, are you guys... So who's finally being able to get out and do some shoots? Have you guys done any shoots recently? Anybody doing any of the social distancing shoots yet? If you have, what's that experience been like? Let me know in the chat. I'm curious to see what you guys have got going on. Lynn and Oliver, Dennis doing a great job. It was good to see Darren Mark. Haven't seen Darren in a while. And Rock 907. So somebody did ask, what typical lens, I think it was in Oliver, do you use if you're avoiding a wide angle? So in Oliver, when I shoot real estate, a lot of times you have to shoot with wide angle. Not all the time, but sometimes. My typical go-to lens is I have a 12 to 24. And what I will try to do as much as possible is shoot on that 24 end of that. Just because the going all the way out to 12 really distorts things. And then you have to do some work in Photoshop. So what I try to do as much as I can is shoot on that 24 side of things. Now, if I can get away with it, if I can use a little bit longer of a reach, maybe like I don't know, 50 millimeter or something like that. Maybe for shooting like smaller spaces where I can get back a little bit further and really use that lens to kind of reach in there, I'll do that. But a lot of times I'm shooting on the 12 to 24 with it kind of zoomed out to, or zoomed into 24, just to be there. But that's typically my go-to lens for real estate photography is that 12 to 24. When I shoot outdoors, I do like to try to shoot the outside with the longer lens. I like to get back a little bit further. A lot of times too, if I can, I'll try to get up elevated, like on a hill. A hill. My wife says I said that word funny. One time I did climb on top of a moving truck to get like an overhead shot for somebody who really wanted it. They had a mover's truck there, and they're like, hey, can you get a shot from up there? And I was like, sure, I'll climb up there. But that's what I've been doing. All right, let's see. Andre said he's been shooting all along, but primarily in the studio in Denmark. So that's nice to hear that you've been staying busy there in the studio. How has that been? Has that been weird? Have you had to change your protocols at all? I know things for us here have been weird. Just grocery shopping. Like we switched to doing Instacart and we do the whole wiping everything down before we bring it in kind of thing. And I'm kind of ready for that to go away. But hey guys, we are just about out of time. So again, I do want to say thank you to everybody who hung out with me today. Andreas EMK said this is their first time visiting. So hey, thanks for jumping on here and hanging out with us. Who else do we have? Darren Mark, again, thanks for hanging out with us. David Basher, 410 Aerial Photography. Lynn, Rock 97007. Who else do we have in here? And all of you guys who have watched, Ian Oliver and Home Phone, thank you guys again so much for hanging out with me today. Hopefully this was helpful. Don't forget, every Tuesday we do Site Review Tuesday where we go live. We review 3 different sites. You can actually go and submit your site to be reviewed. That's on Tuesdays at the same time. And then every Thursday we do Zenfolio Live as well. Next week we're going to be talking about those new enhancements to the BookMe feature. So you definitely want to check that out. Also, I've got some pretty cool stuff coming up on Zenfolio Live that I'm not going to fully disclose yet, but let me just say we're going to have a really cool guest on. So make sure that you stay tuned because we are going to have a really, really cool guest that I'm really excited to have on here. Hey guys, make sure this week, today, tomorrow, this weekend sometime, that you are doing whatever you can to lift other people up, that you're encouraging other people, that you are listening to other people, and that we're all working together to try to understand one another better, get along better, respect each other more, and just do what we can to make this world a better place because we all really need it. Thank you guys again for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys have a wonderful and safe weekend, and I'll see you guys again on Tuesday.